Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
For almost 50 years, Midway USA has been America's go-to source for just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Go to midwayusa.com to see our latest deals and promotions and take advantage of our super fast same-day shipping. If you need a cooler, a new fishing rod, another rifle, ammo, or a reloading press, you can find it all at midwayusa.com. Thanks for your business.
Howdy folks, and welcome back to the Hunting Stories Podcast, The Hunter's Brief, your weekly roundup of the biggest stories in hunting, wildlife, and public lands. I'm your host Michael, coming at you for the week of October 10th. Sorry about missing last week, but we've got plenty to talk about. We have Congress trying to toss out public land management plans, a senator's scheme to bulldoze wilderness in the name of border security, a controversial road through Alaska's Brooks Range being resurrected by the Trump administration, poaching busts in Colorado, new hunting regs from New York and Nova Scotia, and even some good news about waterfowl and pollinators. Stick around for a few laughs and a lot of information. Let's get to it. Congress uses Congressional Review Act to axe the BLM plans. The Biden-era Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, Resource Management Plans, the RMPs, for North Dakota and Montana were years in the making. They balanced energy development with recreation, grazing, and wildlife habitat and were built on extensive public input. Republicans in Congress said the RMPs went too far in restricting oil and gas development, using the Congressional Review Act, or CRA, to house approved joint resolutions to nullify the North Dakota plan and the Miles City, Montana plan. On October 8th, the Senate passed the North Dakota Resolution 5045, and it approved the Montana Resolution 5247, with a 5047 procedural vote. Conservation groups warned that repealing the plans would revert to outdated 1980s management and undercut habitat protections hunters rely on. Supporters argue the plan locked up too much land for extraction. Under the CRA, the president signs the resolution or Congress overrides a veto. The BLM cannot issue substantially similar plans, making the stakes higher. Hunters and anglers should pay attention. Outdated plans could mean more industrial disturbance in prime habitat, but might also open new access roads. Senator Mike Lee's Borderlands Conservation Act, or an Attack on Wilderness Act. Utah Senator Mike Lee introduced the Borderlands Conservation Act, selling it as a way to improve border security by allowing roads and infrastructure within 100 miles of the U.S. border. In reality, the bill would gut the Wilderness Act by granting the Department of Homeland Security broad authority to build roads, install sensors, and use motorized vehicles in wilderness areas from the Pacific Northwest to the boundary waters. Now, conservationists and sportsmen say it has little to do with border security, and that Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance calls it a cynical stunt. This would allow industrial development and surveillance in some of the most pristine public lands. Lan Tani of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers warns that it would ruin wild places under the guise of national security. This matters because wilderness areas are some of the last backcountry hunting and fishing refuges in the country. Opening them to roads could fragment habitat and reduce opportunities. When a bill called conservation is actually about bulldozing wilderness, you know somebody's got their wire crossed. Trump administration greenlights the Ambler Road project. In one of its first big moves since returning to power, the Trump administration revived the Ambler Road across Alaska's Brooks Range. The 211-mile industrial road would access copper and zinc deposits sought by the Alaska Industrial Development and Export Authority. Biden's Interior Department had nixed the permits last year, citing significant environmental and cultural impacts. But former President Donald Trump signed an order restoring the federal right-of-way. Alaska's governor and congressional delegation hailed the decision as crucial for jobs and critical minerals, while Alaska Native tribal leaders called it an affront to their voices and a threat to caribou and subsistence hunting. Lawsuits are continuing, and the road's future remains uncertain. For hunters, the issue pits economic development against protection of a remote, game-rich wilderness. You might say it's a road to riches or road to ruin, depending on whether you're a miner or a moose. Pennsylvania opens 500 miles of state forest roads and expands Sunday hunting. Pennsylvania hunters rejoice. The state's Department of Conservation and Natural Resources is opening roughly 500 miles of state forest roads across 18 of 20 forest districts for the fall archery season. These roads, normally off limits to the public, will remain open through late fall and winter, and could be closed, however, if weather is damaging them. The change follows House Bill 1431 signed earlier this year, which repealed Pennsylvania's decades-old ban on Sunday hunting. DCNR Secretary Cindy Adams-Dunn says the openings make it easier for hunters and hikers to access remote areas, while State Forester Seth Castle notes that the road access helps promote forest regeneration and healthy ecosystems. Pennsylvanians can finally say, "See you on Sunday," without having to wait for church to end. Nova Scotia communities confront urban deer. Urban deer have become a nuisance in towns across Nova Scotia, where feeding by residents encourages the animals to linger. Communities are responding with a mix of culling, contraception, and relocation. Yarmouth is finalizing a proposal for a controlled cull during hunting season and has explored relocation, trap, neuter release, and habitat changes. Colchester County will hold a plebiscite on allowing urban bow and crossbow hunts. Goals include reducing vehicle collisions, protecting gardens, and restoring ecological balance. Province-wide changes that took effect October 1st expand the hunting season, lower the minimum hunting age to 12, and add 11 more Sundays for hunting. Hunters will donate meat from urban hunts to food banks via the Hunters Helping the Hungry program. When the deer start eating your flower beds, even Canadians decide it's time to take off the gloves and pick up a bow. Colorado poaching case, moose and elk. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife is busy investigating two disturbing poaching incidents. First, a cow moose was found dead near Deer Creek in Park County. Officers believe it was shot between September 28th and 30th and left to rot. CPW urged anyone who heard gunshots or saw suspicious activity to call Operation Game Thief. A few days later, CPW offered a $1,000 reward for information about 4 elk that were illegally shot on 3 different ranches in Las Animas County. The elk were killed on September 13th, 26th, and 27th. One was abandoned whole, another had only the backstraps removed, and the third had its head removed. Assistant Chief of Law Enforcement Justin Hawkins called the act senseless and disgraceful. Poaching steals from legal hunters and undermines public support of hunting. If you can't take it home or respect the animal, don't pull the trigger. There's no trophy for the biggest disgrace. Hey hunters, have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today. Running an outdoor business is a grind. One day you're glassing ridgelines or running dogs, the next you're tuning gear or working to keep the land wild. And somewhere in between, you're expected to fill calendars, move product, and keep your name alive. That's where the Ignite Marketing Group comes in. They work with outfitters, gear brands, and conservation groups to tell your story the way it deserves to be told, and to put it in front of the people who live for this lifestyle. Imagine a website that doesn't just sit there but actually books hunts. Imagine campaigns that don't feel like ads but like a buddy passing along a tip. Imagine your story reaching more hunters, anglers, and outdoor enthusiasts who get it and who want it. That's what Ignite does. No gimmicks, no flash, just real growth for people who belong in the outdoors. Don't just market, ignite it. Learn more at ignitemarketinggp.com/outdoors. Texas predicts a stellar waterfowl season. Hunters heading into Texas marshes and playa lakes should be smiling. Texas Park and Wildlife Department biologists say populations of teal, gadwall, widgeon, pintail, and shovelers are above average thanks to plentiful rain and good nesting conditions. Waterfowl program leader Kevin Cry notes the reservoir levels in recent storms provide abundant habitat. Hunters will also see a 3-bird daily bag limit for pintail, reflecting a rebound in the species. Now, as always, weather patterns and cold fronts will determine when the birds arrive. Pintail numbers are up. Now, if only your shooting percentage could be too. Texans have been invited to join the Pollinator BioBlitz. Texas Park and Wildlife Department and partners are hosting the 10th annual Texas Pollinator BioBlitz from October 10th through the 26th. Citizens are encouraged to observe and photograph bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, bats, and other pollinators, and upload their sightings to the iNaturalist app. The data will help guide habitat management and raise awareness about pollinators, which are essential for wild and agricultural plants but are in decline. Partner organizations include the National Butterfly Center, and Monarch Watch participants may even win some prizes. Finally, a blitz where the only thing getting sacked are invasive weeds. Illegal gold rush ravages the Peruvian Amazon. A new analysis from MAAP and Conservación Amazonica shows the illegal gold mining has cleared roughly 140,000 hectares, or 540 square miles of rainforest in Peru since 1984. With the destruction accelerating as foreign groups chase record gold prices, and high-resolution imagery reveals fleets of dredges chewing up rivers. The resulting mercury contamination poisons fish and people. The crisis, once concentrated in Madre de Dios, is spreading across Peru. Director Matt Feiner calls it a crime thriller with communities caught between cartels and government. Hunters and anglers should care because rainforests loss affects biodiversity worldwide, and mercury taints fisheries. When gold is worth more than the forest, you know the real treasure is being lost. Farmed totoaba could take pressure off wild populations. Totoaba, a large fish native to Mexico's Gulf of California, is prized in Chinese markets for its swim bladder, which fetches up to $80,000 per kilogram, more valuable than gold or cocaine. And despite a 50-year international ban, poaching continues, threatening both totoaba and the critically endangered vaquita. Researchers from UC Santa Barbara and AgroParisTech modeled the species' life history and market dynamics and concluded that legal aquaculture and the export of farmed totoaba could relieve pressure on wild populations. Mexico already exports hundreds of tons of farmed fish each year. Providing a legal supply might curb illegal trade better than relying solely on enforcement. Who knew the way to save $80,000 per kilo fish might be to put it on the menu legally? In situ DNA barcoding closes conservation data gaps. A trio of studies led by San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance and Peruvian partners found that 44% of birds and 45% of mammals native to Peru were missing from major genetic databases like GenBank and BOLD or BOLD. To address these gaps, researchers built portable laboratories in the Peruvian Amazon and used long-read nanopore sequencing to generate genetic barcodes for 1,858 specimens, including 30 mammal and 196 bird species that have never been sequenced. This work increased representation of Peruvian animals in BOLD by 110%. Lead scientist Pamela Sanchez Vinduzu says documenting biodiversity is essential for conservation planning. The project also empowers Peruvian researchers to collect and analyze data without shipping samples abroad. It's like CSI Amazon, but instead of catching criminals, they're catching species before they disappear. That's it for this week's Hunter's Brief. From Capitol Hill power plays to urban deer debates, from moose poachers to DNA barcoding in the Amazon, it is clear that the world of hunting and conservation is never dull. Remember, hunting is a privilege that comes with responsibility. Get involved in conservation groups, speak up for public lands, and mentor someone new in the field. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with your buddies, and send us tips or stories that you want us to feature. Until next time, keep your powder dry, respect the resource, and enjoy the great outdoors. Thanks for listening.
Bow hunting all comes down to a moment. And in the moment, you want equipment on your bow that will get the job done. Trophy Ridge products are the tools bow hunters trust. React technology sights, rests, stabilizers, and quivers to help a bow hunter be successful in the field. And those tools are from Trophy Ridge. Join us at a Friends of NRA event where freedom, fun, and firearms come together like nowhere else. With more than 600 events held across the country, there's always one happening near you. From exciting games to exclusive auctions featuring one-of-a-kind firearms and gear you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're a lifelong hunter, a competitive shooter, or simply passionate about defending freedom, there is a seat for you. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you and get ready for a night you won't forget.